um, people who are live here in the audience, and we also have people who are connected to us online. So we are a full house, right? We're a very full house. So what we are dealing with in our series is Formula for Great Marriage. And it's a beautiful thing. Marriage is a wonderful thing that God has given to us to make our lives beautiful. But if you don't know how to deal with it, you don't know how to manage it, you don't know how to cope with it, you don't know how to operate it, it can be frustrating. Something that's meant for good can become very frustrating. Not because it should be frustrating, but because you don't know how to deal with it. So we began to say, okay, how do we educate young people, singles who are not yet married, and how do we educate couples who are already married as to how to make the most of this relationship? We started last week to look at the origin of this relationship, this thing we call marriage. How did it start? Why? Because that will help us to see how it is supposed to be done. You know, marriage it didn't just show up. It was created. It was a deliberate act of God to bring this institution into the world. So we saw that the relationship, marriage originated by God's design. The original marriage is not that between Adam and Eve. It's actually that between God and humanity. Isn't that exciting? God and humanity were the first married couple. Okay? When God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Marriage is about being one, the husband and the wife becoming one. So here God is saying, we're going to create humanity, and we're going to be one with humanity. We're going to be one image with humanity. So that's actually that bonding. So when we know that that's the beginning of marriage, say, okay, oh wow, is that how this thing started? Okay, then we can now ask the next question. So what is it about? And that verse also tells us again in Genesis 1:26. It tells us that God made man in his image after his likeness, that man will have dominion. The essence of that relationship is for dominion. The essence of that relationship is for fulfillment of purpose, fulfillment of assignment, changing the world, making a difference. So marriage is not just about coming together of a man and a woman so they can be happy together. No, it has a more world-changing assignment. It is to make a difference. It's to change lives. It's to make the world a better place. And so that's the purpose of marriage. We shared all kinds of things. Today we're going to move forward from there. Today, we're going to look at the fact that God intends for the husband and the wife to be equal. Okay? We'll look at the equality of the spouses. That's what we're looking at today. So, if you read Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 22. In fact, we can read, we'll connect that to the following verses, but our focus will just be on that verse 22. Ephesians 5, verse 22. It will say, submitting to one another in the fear of God. Submitting to one another in the fear of God. Then it says in verse 22, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Verse 25, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that she would be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies, for he who loves his wife loves himself. So before the Apostle Paul will start giving specific instructions to wives how they should relate with their husbands, and to husbands how they should relate with their wives, he gave a general instruction in verse 22 and says, the intention is that you submit yourself one to another. So before he says, wives, submit to your husband, husbands, love your wife, he says you should submit yourselves one to another. What does that mean? That means that you are equal. You have the same status. So submission essentially is not a one-sided thing. It's a mutual thing. You submit to me and I submit to you. So in marriage, it's expected that the wife should submit to the husband. Also, the husband is also expected to submit to the wife. When we talk later in this our discussion, we'll look at the uniqueness of the submission of the wife that he talked about later. But at this level, what is important for us is to know that the husband and the wife are equal and they're supposed to be submitting to each other. So, a successful marriage, a great marriage, is where the spouses understand that they are equal before God. They are equal before God. They are created equal. The Bible gives us that. In fact, the first, the world is now recapturing equality, as it were. America, the almighty America, it was just in the 1920s or so that women were given the right to vote. Okay? So because the world is now trying to recapture equality, But Genesis chapter 1 gives us God's intention for humanity. So Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 tells us, so God made man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. The word Adam can mean one of three things. One, it can be a person's name. It can be a name. Two, it can mean man, the male, or it can also mean humanity. So in that Genesis chapter 1 verse 27 where it says, so God made man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them, gives you the entire expression of that creation of man. It refers to humanity. So the Bible establishes that the intention of God is to have man and woman equal. Of course, as we look at how that creation happened, we will see that, God made man, and then after a while, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, God made man, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, man became a living soul. And then about verse 18, God now said it's not good for the man to be alone. Okay, I'll make him a helpmate suitable for him. Now, if you look at that scripture, you will see that even in that narrative, God was not going to externally create the woman, as it were. So I've created a man, let me now go further and create the woman from the dust of the ground, or let me make this man pregnant and give birth to the woman. No. What the Bible tells us is that it was like God separated from the woman, from the man. It was from the rib of the man that God brought out the woman. So God is very smart. The Bible is very, very wonderful. That the woman was in the man. So Adam was humanity. All God needed to do was to just separate, Eve from the man. So they were there from the beginning. When God made man from the dust of the ground, he made two of them. So God intended for the husband, the man and the woman to be equal. If you read further in scriptures, you will see all kinds of expressions of this equality. In 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7, the Bible will say that the husband and the wife, they are joint heirs. They are joint heirs of the grace of God. They are equal. They are equal recipients of the grace of God. The Bible in another place will say that in Christ there's no male or female, because there's no one who is superior to the other person. That's a very important thing to appreciate if you are going to have a marriage that will be truly great. Of course, we know that human history is replete with women being treated as inferior. Okay, we know that. Even today, it's still happening. That cultures, civilizations treat women as inferior. In fact, in the Bible, by the time the Bible was being written, the culture existing was that also that had departed. It's important to know that the Bible culture, the culture at the time the Bible was written is not a sanctified culture. It's not a culture ordained by God. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Because some people read the Bible and say, oh, this is in the Bible. Abraham married more than one wife. David married more than one wife. Solomon the same. So yeah, it's in the Bible. As if it being in the Bible means that it is God that ordained it. No. Just because it's in the Bible, this is very important. Just because it's in the Bible does not mean that it is ordained by God. We need to get what message the Bible is communicating and not just endorse everything in Scripture as if God ordained it. That's why when the Pharisees came to Jesus, they said to him, Moses gave us the right, he gave us the authority, he gave us the power that if someone is tired with his spouse, they can send the person away. So that's in the Bible. That's in the Jewish culture. That's in the culture of God's people. But he was wrong. It was not right. Okay? Jesus came so he could right all of those wrongs. So he told them that Moses did that out of frustration. You guys were weary, just like he what did he do that time? He hit the rock with his rod out of frustration. The pressure was too much. He just had to do one silly thing. So he said, Moses did this because of your pressure, because of the hardness of your heart. The young man did not want to die, so he just, okay, now you want to send her away. So that's what has happened over time. From Bible times, that the woman is not given her voice. Okay? In fact, even today, there are cultures where in law courts, the testimony of the woman is not taken. That's how much women are treated as inferior. But that's not God's order. That's not God's arrangement. God gives to the woman the dignity of her value and her status before him. So, women being treated as inferior is as a result of the depravity of the human race. The depravity of man. Not just man as male, but man and woman. Okay? Human beings are selfish. The man is selfish and the woman is selfish. Okay? The man is selfish, the woman is selfish. However, the selfishness of the man, the male, is much more consequential, is much more critical. And I'll tell you why. So, but just know that it's not only the man that's selfish, the man is selfish, the woman is selfish. Okay? But the selfishness of the man is more consequential. And the reason is that the man has some advantages. The advantage of the man, number one advantage of the man is that he is, of course, created first. And then the other advantage is that he is physically stronger, faster. He's created, like we read in this place, the man is intended to be the head. Okay? But it's important to know that head has nothing to do with superiority. We have said that in the past. Head has nothing to do with superiority. Head has something to do with position and with order and with function, but not with being superior. Okay? So man is made head. Man is fast. Man is strong physically. Okay? Now, look at the picture I want to paint for you. God gave the man the strength he has, the capacity he has, so that he will use it and serve the woman. Remember, the arrangement is that the man and the woman should complement each other. So the strength of the man is supposed to be for serving the woman. The woman has a function that she's to carry out. And the man needs to provide her an environment within which it will be easy for her to carry out that function. That's God's intention. So you guys are equal, but I have a job for you, and I have a job for you, and the job that I have for the woman requires that she is often, as it were, appearing weak. That is not that she's not valuable, but by the nature of her assignment and her role, she's the one that cares, she's the one that bears children, she's the one that's, nurturing. So she appears soft. And the man is supposed to have the strength to defend her, protect her, provide an environment where she can express herself and bring to pass life without worrying. That's why the man is made strong. The strength of the man is to be used to serve the woman. That's the important thing I want to understand. The strength of the man is to be used for serving the woman. But for selfishness' sake, which the man has and the woman has, man began to use his strength and his provision for himself. He began to use it for himself. And so when the man began to use his provision and his strength for himself, that created all the problems. So like I illustrated, just imagine that we have two of us, myself, okay, let's say a man and a woman, they are walking through the desert, and two of them are thirsty, okay? And then out in the distance, you find two bottles of water, cold water. And the two bottles of water are meant for the man and the woman. So they come out, and then they see the bottle in the distance. Remember that the man is selfish and the woman is selfish. So they see the bottle in the distance, and then what happens? The man is faster, the man is stronger, so he takes off and runs. Of course, two of them take off to run to get to the bottle. But because of his advantage, he's able to get to the bottle first. Now, those two bottles are meant for him and his woman. What he should do is that when he gets to the bottles, he takes the bottles and holds the bottles. So as the woman arrives, he can now give her own bottle and have his own bottle, and they can celebrate and rejoice and be happy together and have fun and have a nice time. That's the intention. But he's selfish. The woman is also selfish, right? So by the time the man gets there, because of his selfishness, he could take the bottle, one bottle, and then drink first. In fact, he can drink two of them. Drink the first one, drink the second one, throw away the bottle. The woman is still coming, trying to catch up. Yeah, the bottle has finished. Or the man can drink one and hold the other one. And the woman comes. Can I have some water? He can start placing demands on the woman. Okay, you do this, or you do that, or you do that before I can give you this bottle of water. He can just start all kinds of funny things he can do. That is wrong. That's what happens. The man should be loving and self-giving and selfless and make this woman feel comfortable. So imagine the romantic setting, right? That would have been in place if that man runs there, gets those two bottles of water, holds it, beckons on the woman to come, and she comes, then he hands her over one bottle and holds the other one, and they sing songs, and they hold each other, and they embrace, and then they take the water, and then they just have a nice time. It would have been fun. But selfishness kills that possibility. Does that make sense to you? Now, what happens? What happens is that, like we have seen over time in our history, that when women observe that kind of thing, they start getting offended and getting angry and getting frustrated, and they start, resenting men. That's why the idea of feminism is now everywhere now. It is because of the resentment. It is, at the end of the day, feminism, particularly negative feminism, is about women being frustrated with men. And it's about men not playing their role, men not being loving enough. If men were loving enough and accommodating enough, there will not be any feminists in that idea. But because men are selfish, remember, women are also selfish. In fact, if they are the ones who are faster than the men, the same thing will happen. It's just that the man has the advantage, and then these things take place. So you find resentment, you find suspicion, you find lack of cooperation because of this situation. That's why women appear like they're inferior. They are not inferior. It is just that the man is not as loving as he is supposed to be. He is clearly designated to be the head of the relationship. Why? Because there must be a head. Abi? Someone must be head. This house must have a head. This house must have foundation. A car must have where you drive it. There must be head somewhere. And the man is appointed by God to have that headship. But like I said, headship does not mean to be superior. Just like your course rep is as much a student as you are. So he's not now a lecturer, right? But of course, you see, you know some course behave like they're lecturers, right? They forget that now students you view, they start, because they are course rep, they're able to go to offices of lecturers. It starts entering into their head. They start, raising their shoulders. And they can start making these things hard for other students. They can start collecting notes and not giving the notes. They can start doing all kinds of things because they are not fulfilling their role very well. So the man is head, not to make him superior, but in reality, to make him a servant. In God's kingdom, headship is about service. I want you to take note of that. If you are talking about God and his plan for humanity, headship is about service. Headship has nothing to do with being a boss. Jesus mentions that in the book of Matthew chapter 20, verse 25, all the way to verse 28. He says, you have seen that in the world, the rulers of the world, they lord it over their people. They want to show that they are boss. Then he clearly says that this will not be the same with you. It shouldn't be like this with you. How should it be with us as God's people? It should be that the person that wants to be the head should be the servant, should be the slave. So the arrangement God actually has is that the husband will be the slave of the woman, the wife. He should serve her. He should make life easy for her. She should be precious in his sight. He should make sacrifices. He should beat himself. He should do whatever he can do to make her life beautiful. But that's not what happens. So it's important to understand what the original idea is. And then we can use that idea to challenge the present practice to conform to that original intention God has in mind. So, that's what God has in mind. Now, the thing I want to mention now is, therefore, that because a man is first and has an advantage, it behoves him to grant the woman the privilege of her equality with him. I say it again. The man now has responsibility for granting the woman the privilege of her equality with him. Just like God decided to bring the humanity up to be equal with him, just like Christ granted that you are joint heirs with me, that's also how the man should allow, should grant. It's not that he is the one making them equal, it's that he has an advantage that is making him seem to be superior. He should refuse to acknowledge himself as superior and grant the woman the privilege of her equality with him. Does that make sense to you? It's very important. They are equal, but somebody is already there. So let me give you an illustration. It is like being the firstborn in a house. So when a man and a woman gets married, they start having children, okay? And they give birth to let's say they give birth to 4 kids. Those 4 kids that they have, are they equal as heirs of the parents? They are equal, okay. They are equal, but they came in one after the other. So the first one that came has the advantage of position. So it's number one. And then, while he was the only one, he is the sole heir of everything his parents have. He's the one, right? Now, by the time his brother or sister comes along, he's no more the sole heir. So in a sense, his heirship has been challenged, as it were. His heirship has been depleted. So if the parents had 2 million naira, that at one time he was the only one who owns all of it, now, with the second person coming, what has happened now? We are going to split this in, 1 million, 1 million. Oh, God. And as he was just crying, the third person gave, oh, God. Before you finish, the fourth person, oh, what is going on? Selfishness will come in where he will start thinking, I can just not tell them all that we have. I can hide it and just present this. Okay, what we have is 700,000, so we can share 500,000. Otherwise, if he's honest and sincere, he will allow for the fact that all of this belong to us. So he will call his brothers and sisters and say, well, our parents left us $4 million. $4 million, okay, 4 million. Left us 4 million, and it's in my custody, but it doesn't belong to me alone. It belongs to all of us. And so I will have to give you your portions. Does that make sense? That's how the man should behave. He is the head. He has the privilege of position, but that is just to be the custodian of the benefits of the relationship and should extend that to everyone that's a part of his life. In this case, the wife. We still live in a world where some men contend that they are superior to women. Husbands contend that they are superior to women. We still live in that reality now. People still argue that. Enlightened people still quarrel that I'm superior to them, I'm superior. They do that. Now, they do that dubiously. They do dubiously. Why I say they do that dubiously is that you never find a man who is pursuing a woman to win her love who is brandishing superiority to the woman. Right? You come and say, well, come here, I'm superior to you. How do you think the woman will be excited about that? Oh, you are superior to me, okay, let's go. No. So it's not even romantic to come and say, well, I'm superior to you. They pocket that at the back of their mind and want to even serve you the way it should be. Open doors for you, move seats for you, give you money, just treat you well. But at the back of their mind, they're hiding their superiority idea until you come in. That tells you that is dubious, that they're not being honest, they're not being straightforward. Okay? So for a man to be contending to be superior to a woman shows that he doesn't understand, what God intended, how God arranged for this thing to be. Okay? So men and women are equal. Husband and wife are equal. You need to understand that you begin there to now have a relationship that is going to be beautiful and exciting. Now, I think I've made that point. I'm going to change a little bit here. Equality, this is where the confusion comes in. The equality of the man and the woman does not mean similarity of the man and the woman. This is where the problem comes. Because people think that equality means similarity. No. Men and women are equal in value and status before God, but they are different in their nature, different in their roles, and different in their needs. But those differences does not mean they are no more equal. So sometimes, instead of arguing, for instance, the fact that a man is physically stronger than a woman, generally speaking, emphasizes their difference, not their inequality. So when a man wants to say, I'm superior to the woman, he says, okay, so if you say you are equal to me, go and carry that load. And then when she cannot carry the load, the man will say, you see, I'm superior to you. Now, the mistake ladies also make, because they get this they get it twisted, right? Is that they now also want to eliminate the difference. So they now say things like, what a man can do, a woman can do it, because they're trying to show that we are equal by the fact that I can do what you can do. Stupid. It's not possible. It's not realistic. It's not meaningful. It's harmful. You can't. So you see women going to force themselves to do things they should not do just to prove equality that you already have. And then that makes for a very difficult and frustrated world. We are equal, but we are different, and our differences is so we can complement each other. That's what God intends. Not that we will try and do the same things that the other person is doing. Women revolt, as it were, against this inequality. They do that right. In your contesting that we are equal is okay, but they mistake it to thinking that we should be the same. No. It is not right. It is not possible. It's not even useful that we are the same. Because if we are the same, then one of us is useless. Right? Why we God create sex 1, sex 2 equal to sex 1? What's the point? It's useless. So it's important for women to appreciate their difference and to exalt that difference and to magnify that difference and know that that difference does not make me inferior. I don't need to try to prove that I'm equal to the man by trying to carry the load he's going to carry. Carry it. You're the man to carry it. It still doesn't make me inferior to you. Very, very important. When women insist on being same with men to mean equality with men, they almost always lose. When a woman insists to be equal with men, she will lose. That's a faulty argument. Okay? If you look at our world today, like the thing happening in the Western world, it's making the world very crazy. So look at this. Over the years, women have been fighting for women's rights, right? Women should be taken as equal. We should be equal. They are fighting and fighting. Okay, they now allow them to vote. They are fighting and fighting in sports. So they now brought them and said, okay, you can have your own game. You know, they are making some progress. And then this feminism bug started biting everybody. So they now started saying we are equal to men. We are the same. There's no difference. We are all the same. We are the same. What a man can do, a man can do it. No, that doesn't make any sense. Though. But because they have set themselves up, they have to now accept everything that comes with that. So eventually, what is happening in the West now, in America particularly, you start seeing that they are trying to eliminate the difference between man and woman. So man can be woman, woman can be man. I hope you know that's what. In fact, you can wake up any day and say, today, I think I want to be a woman. You can just raise your hand and say, from today, I identify. It's not that anything has changed in my life. It's that when I raise my hand, I just say, I identify from now on as a woman. Call me a woman. My pronoun, my pronoun is she, her. And you insist on it. Of course, it began that initially at the beginning, where if you want to say that you're a woman, you actually have to go through surgeries and they remove your genitals and all of that. But they said that one was very, very painful. You know, people are very stupid. So then it's now raise up your hand and say, I raise up my hand today. From today onwards. In fact, some people have gone from man to woman and then back to man. You can actually just keep moving back and forth. Now, the crazy element of that now is that men can now decide that, okay, what I want to do is that I want to go and join women sports. Okay? I'm now transgender. So because you don't know how to say that we are not, a man can be a woman. Is it not the equality that you are meaning? We can be the same thing. So a man can now say, I'm going to join a women's sport. So you find out men who were not able to do, who were no good in men's games, men's sports. They just now say, I'm now a woman. Let me join women's sports. They now join the women's sports and they start dusting everybody. They start winning all the championships and all the games. And the woman can't say anything. Why? Because we've accepted that man is woman, woman is man. So it kept happening and kept happening. They go and they get into sports. They get into, what do you call it? Sprint race. They say, okay, you're going to compete in Usain Bolt, right? Because we are the same. God gave him a body mass, bone mass, body structure that will function differently. They go to swimming. Somebody that never won anything in men's division came in as a woman now and is just carrying everything. In fact, there was the last game that they had, the one swimming contest. This man who had become a woman, she actually, is this she now? They actually swam and tied with the girl. They were the same. They were the same time. But you know what officials said? They said, even though two of you are the same, we will give the trophy to the one that's the man. So the man now is now the women champion of the year. In fact, there's one, America is just one funny, crazy place. And the reason is because the background has been led that there's no difference. So if you accept there's no difference, you will lose. Your men are now going to women's toilet. In fact, they are putting men in women's prison. America is just stupid. I don't know. That's a place you think you know, the Bible already said that. And trying to prove that you are wise, you just become an animal. So there's a case where they put a man in women's prison and he got two women pregnant there. And this will not change. So the woman should insist on her womanhood. I'm a woman. I'm not the same. I'm not fighting to be the same. Let me be in my space. What we should be asking men to do is to be men, is to behave like men, is to be responsible. The way to respond is not to be trying to now be them. No. No matter what you do, men should be driving the trucks, right? They should be digging the graves. They should be mining, going into the ocean and mining oil. They should be, all those tough, risky jobs, the man is given the nature to do them. But anytime you start thinking about we are equal, okay. So we're looking for a grave digger. In fact, there's a clip I watched of a woman who was talking about there's no equal pay. Women are not paid equal as men, you know. The man was saying, why they will not be paid equal? Because they're not doing the same things. They're not doing the same things to the same capacity. Women have a nature that will make them choose the kind of jobs that they will do. Men have a nature that will make them choose the kind of jobs that will give more money. The truth is that it is not supposed to be that men and women are competing in salary. It should be that the money the man is making, he's making for the woman. But because we are now insisting that we are the same, each person now is making their own money. So it's making marriage funny. If we are coming in the marriage, the man should be the one providing what sustains the family. The man should be responsible. But if you say we are equal, we now go into, okay, you will bring 50%, I'll bring 50%. Because, you know, we're equal. And when that happens, every time that happens, there's something in the woman that feels uncomfortable. Because something in you tells you, it should not be like this. Abi, you still feel like, But you can no longer claim that the man is the one to provide everything if we are equal. I mean, if we are the same. Okay? So very important. It's not about our being paid the same because the woman has issues. She's supposed to be a mother. She's the one that gets pregnant. She's the one that carries the baby. She has responsibilities that she's doing for humanity for which she should even be paid. It's like being a mother. Being a mother and bearing children is a big job. But even the women themselves, they talk themselves away from motherhood being meaningful. Right? Some say, no, I don't want to get married now. I don't attach children something. I don't want. So they make it small. But by their nature, you are giving the womb for something. If that womb is not used, something will be missing. There is nothing in a man that's not being used. Everything is given, he's using it. And then because you are the one trying to be like him, how many men are trying to be like you? The thing God has given to you, you don't use it. And the challenge of this is that when women grow older, they start finding that they miss the things that God has created in them. For instance, the difference between a man and a woman, fundamental difference. When Adam was created, what did God give Adam? God gave Adam work. God gave Adam work. So for as long as Adam lived, I don't know how many years he lived as a man, so to speak, it was work he was doing. He wakes up in the morning, he goes to work. All right. When the woman was created, what was she given? Relationship. Adam was created, nobody to relate with. It was work. So Adam's relationship was with work. The woman's relationship was with the man. If you look at it and check the nature today, men are still work-driven. Women are relationship-driven. It's not the same. So a man can afford to walk away from family to go and work. That would be hard for a woman to do. Right? Naturally. A man can, like I'm here now, working. My family is there. Okay? It's easier for the nature of the man for him to do that. It is hard for a woman to leave her children and run and go and stay somewhere for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. It's hard, it's tough. It's not in her nature. So when a woman does not emphasize who she is and her nature and is concerned about being like the man, she frustrates herself and she will regret it because she is running against who she was created to be. So never insist on being the same with a man. It's not important. It's unnecessary and it's destructive. What a woman should do when men around you are not behaving well is to challenge them to behave well. Tell them to do what they should do. Tell them to be who they're supposed to be. Don't now want to step into the shoe. You cannot. It's not the arrangement. Otherwise, you are going to frustrate yourself. So the differences between men and women, just a few of them before we put this in together. Men are logical. Women are psychological. Generally speaking. Of course, there can be exceptions. There are always exceptions. But the exceptions are not the rule. Some can say, some will tell you something. When a woman is talking to you, her talking to you tells you something. I don't know if you understand me. When a man is talking to you, he's using what he's telling you to give you information. When a woman is talking to you, her talking to you gives information. She doesn't need to make meaning. You know, sometimes, watch this, almost in many situations, when women talk, men say they're not making sense. Have you heard that before? She's not making any sense. The fact that she's talking is the sense. She doesn't need to make another sense. The fact that she's talking to you communicates what she wants you to understand. Okay? That's generally what women do. They communicate for connection. If a woman takes her time to talk to you, it means you are somebody to her. Otherwise, she won't have time to be talking to you. She just bullshits you and moves forward. All right. We have said that men are work-driven, women are relationship-driven. Men give the seed, women have the egg, as it said, and then they carry the baby. That's a unique responsibility that the woman is given. So, we should accommodate the equality of the husband and the wife. We should accommodate that. We should make room for that. Let me mention a few ways where that can come into play. Number one, if you accept that your spouse is your equal, then don't seek to change them. Don't seek to change them. When you seek to change somebody, you are trying to say you are superior to the person. Men always try to do this. Some women also do it. Don't seek to change anybody. If you don't like someone the way they are, leave them alone. I'm not saying people cannot change. I'm saying don't seek to change them. You see, God gave a wife to Adam. In fact, God said, it's not good for the man to be alone. I'll give him a helpmate suitable for him. But God did not ask Adam how he would make the woman. Right? He didn't ask Adam, okay, what do you want in a woman? How do you want her head? How do you want her nose? How do you want her eyes? No. God created the woman the way she will fit the man and brought her to the man without asking the man's input. Of course, people can change if change becomes necessary. In fact, if you love someone, you want to change for them. So if I want to change as a person for my wife, it should be a personal thing. It doesn't mean that she cannot make input or make suggestions or we have conversations. She can, but to want to force someone to change is wrong. Sometimes men will say, I was talking to somebody who was saying, what was he saying? That whenever he tells his wife the things that she's doing that he does not like, that she does not take it. So when I tell my wife the things that she's doing I don't like, that she doesn't take it. So I said, why do you want her to be doing what you like? Why do you want her to be doing what you like? Is she not supposed to do what she likes? Some people don't think like that. They think, you should do what I like. If I don't like something, you should stop it. What do you think? If I don't like what you're wearing, you should change it. What of wearing what I like? If I accept that I'm your equal, you're my equal, then I allow you to do what you like. Of course, if we are married, we can decide what our values are. We can decide what guides us. And then as long as that guide is not violated, anybody can do what they want to do. And just because I don't like what you are doing does not mean you should change it. If you like it, do it. Unless it violates our agreement as a couple. Does that make sense to you? I may not like the hair my wife wants to make. The question is not if I like it, does she like it? She likes it. Okay, let her do it. Of course, if she loves me, she may want to do something I will like. But that's different from my commanding her everything, to move that dress, do this. And people do that a lot of the time. In fact, sometimes women get lost in just being whatever their man is telling them to be, that they don't have their own sense of themselves, their identity, their values, their likes and dislikes. All right. The other way to accommodate the quality of the spouse is to seek the input of the other person. Again, men do this. Sometimes a man makes decisions and then brings the woman to obey. No. Seek the person's input. Let them make an input. If you don't seek their input and you are just issuing commands, it means that you are looking at them as a subordinate, looking at them as inferior. You are the head. The head is the person that has the final say. If you're a leader, the quality of a good leader is that leader listens to everybody and uses everybody's input to now make the final decision. So the person should make the input. Communicate with the person respectfully, not in a way that diminishes them. Husband, wife, communicate with each other respectfully. Like I've said, don't insist the other person does what you like. Insist that they do what they like. But of course, if we have a relationship, we should have a conversation around the values guiding our relationship so that each person knows it, commits to it, and observes it. But be yourself. When a woman gets a man who allows her to be herself, she's got a golden man. Because most of the time, some men just take their wives to be an addition to them, an addendum, a decoration to their life. Instead of letting this person's personality flourish and be what God intends. So that's what we have for today as we look at the quality of the spouses to make a great and outstanding marriage. And I'm sure it has been a beautiful evening. Has it been a beautiful evening? All right, beautiful. All right, so we're going to take a few questions before we close for today. So does anyone have any question? If there's a way for us to even know if people online can have questions, that would have been fine too, so that we can. So if you're online and you have a question, you can also send a question on the comment section. Yes, any question?